Hello, this is Steven with Steven Saccio Photography. Today we're going to go over a quick web tutorial on how to take a regular photo and turn it into a nice contrasty version of it in black and white with kind of an old Hollywood style glam to it. The first thing we want to do is make a copy of your background image because you never want to actually change the initial file you're working on. And to do that, simply drag the layer down to the copy menu and that'll create a second layer for you. After that, the next major step we want to take is to smooth out the model's skin. And we can simply do that by going to a layer filter and then the Gaussian blur and give it a nice little blur there towards the bottom. And that'll help smooth out any wrinkles or blemishes she has there. Next we want to do a layer mask and invert it so that it's black. You can do that by Command I. That way we see the entire picture and we can go back in and fill in what the blurriness that we want for her specific skin areas. We're going to use the eraser tool, and basically we want to drop the opacity down so we're not bringing back the full blurriness right away, but you can control it a little better with this technique. For this we want to kind of cover up all of her skin areas, do it just nice and gently, making sure you bring out a little bit. If it's not strong enough for you, you can always go back over the layer to get more of the blurriness back in. Try and avoid any hard lines because that will show that there was some editing done by going from a strict contrast of hard lines to soft. For the bigger areas such as her arms, you can go to a larger brush and you don't have to be quite as careful because there aren't as many lines that you need to work around. Do kind of watch out for things like bracelet and some of the lace around her shoulders though. Next thing we want to do is go ahead and convert it over to a black and white image. And for the skin tones, we want to concentrate on the reds and yellows. You can kind of play with those. For this, we do like to have kind of a high contrast look, which is strong reds and yellows, although with the yellow, we notice in the background image, it does kind of toy with that a little bit. So kind of go back, play with it a little bit. With the rest of the colors, just see what works for you best. In this case, the magenta actually brings back some of the flowers, so I did want to drop that down a little way so we can see a little bit more detail there. Next step, we're going to go ahead and take all these, make copies of them, and then merge them down into one layer so I can kind of start over again with a new background image while still retaining the other information. If I have to go back, I can. This next part is where the high contrast Hollywood style kind of kicks in. We're going to go ahead and blur the whole image once again. In that case, that was left over from one of my old blurs, so I'm going to ramp it up just a little bit here, make it a little bit more noticeable. Hit OK. There we go. And for this, we're going to change the layer style to an overlay. And this kind of gives us an idea what our final image is really going to come out to look like. Very strong blacks, bright whites, and just kind of a very interesting picture overall. Once again, we're going to duplicate all the images and merge them together, so I have another new layer to work on. And now I want to go ahead and do a little bit more blurring on the background so she really kind of pops out, so she is the main focus of the image. In this case, once again, hit your Gaussian blur. In this case, we're going to do another layer mask, but we're going to do a little bit opposite from what we did with the skin. This time we're going to leave it blurry and use the brush tool to actually kind of cut away from the blurriness this time. You can use a large brush because we do want to bring back most of the details in her skin. And when you get around the edges of her, you can use that brush to just kind of carefully go around so it doesn't look like too much of a stark contrast between her and the background. After coloring for a little while, you can check the mask over on the right-hand side to see what you've missed. It'll kind of give you a preview in the small box, and the normally all-white box will show kind of black markings where you've actually colored in. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now we do a comparison to what we started off with. There's the original image, and here's the final results. Once again, this is a real quick way of doing this. I advise people to take their time and kind of play and see what works best for you. You can obviously go lighter or darker with the contrast and make it as bold or not bold as you would like. And I thank you for watching. Once again, this is Steven with Steven Saccio Photography. I hope you enjoyed this quick little lesson. If you have questions or comments, please feel free to write me at the email addresses below. And if you don't actually have Photoshop and you're still interested in these techniques and you have some photos or need some of your own, please feel free to contact me. I'll be happy to work with you and do whatever you need to get some very interesting photos. Once again, thanks for your time, and we'll see you next time.